You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you. See you, see you.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez.
Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real life fighters, the real life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Cocktail Lounge. I am your hostess with the mostest, Aggie, and with me, as always, is the ever suave, affable, and quaffable Brad Slager. How are you doing this evening, Brad?
Doing well, and I might add, we're also live on X and Facebook.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Had to be done. Sorry.
Well, I figured that was worth mentioning. So if people wanted to listen and stream us on alternate platforms, that's available for your listening enjoyment and pleasure. So we can kick things off. I probably should launch the episode in proper fashion and say, Aggie, happy Killdozer Day.
Yes. It is. It's actually a very magical day. June 6th is historically a magical day for some reason. Lots of things happen on June 6th. Some not so good. We are observing the passing of a dear friend, Ron, a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, today is Killdozer Day. And apparently I posted a picture on Twitter that someone had shared with me in another social media site. And I'm like, I need to make this.
I think you should.
Those are in Legos.
Yes. That appeared to be something that is doable. I think they do have
I'm fast forwarding. It
components.
Yes, it is June 4th, not 6th. Thank you, Brad. Sorry, my brain is not with me right now.
Who's it with?
It's Jell-O at the moment. I've been trying to get the place ready for my sister's coming to relieve me tomorrow, so I want it to be a smooth transition for her, but I won't be here to actually tell her, the habits and, stuff to do around the house and whatnot. Not that she's a bad housekeeper. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just my dad eats his main meal at lunch instead of dinner. So, she'll have to prepare something for lunch, and she's not used to that. So my guess is that they're going to be going out to eat a lot. She's not a cook. She doesn't like to cook. She cooks, but she doesn't like to do it. So I've been I made several desserts and I made several dinners that she could just pull out of the fridge or freezer and, just things of that nature. And so my brain is all scrambled because I honestly thought today was the 6th and I have an appointment on the 7th, so I was sweating it. No, it's the 4th.
Yes.
The 6th is when I actually arrive at my house. So
it's okay. We'll help you through. We'll carry you over the line, much like the media did last election for Joe Biden.
Yes. They did a marvelous job of pulling him over the line.
Yes, and I did a marvelous job of comparing you to an 82-year-old doddering fool. So thank you for not stabbing me.
I'm too far.
But yes, it's actually the 20th anniversary, believe it or not, that Marvin Heemeyer went on a beautiful little rampage. He there's just so much about the story. I think somebody posted a picture today and said, 20 years later, we understand even more what motivated this guy.
Indeed. Indeed, we do.
Apparently, there's like a local business owner in Colorado, I want to say it was, and just fought with City Hall incessantly to the extent that he was motivated to retrofit a bulldozer and take it out on City Hall, I think the home of a mayor or former mayor, and just like he just said, "No, today's the day."
Yeah, he snapped. I mean, and I don't.
Well, no, this is the background. He didn't snap. It took him. This bulldozer he fabricated with a steel shell and made it.
Maybe snapped is the wrong word.
A tank, like reinforced with concrete. Another layer of steel. He spent a year and a half building this That's how aggravated, pissed off, fed up, and over the top he was with local officials that he spent a year and a half and like nobody could do anything. Like the cops tried shooting at this thing, and he's basically inside the cab going, "Yeah, idiots, this ain't happening." They couldn't stop him. He took out City Hall. He took out another home and a couple other area businesses, and finally got stuck inside of a hardware store and said, "Okay, I guess I'm done," and ended up taking his own life. So, yeah, this is what can happen when the government pushes somebody too far. And as we know,
and now we're actually celebrating what this man attempted to do and thinking maybe he had the right idea. It's coming to the point where people are actually looking for bulldozers.
Yeah, it's
on the secondary market.
It's a kind of thing where I'm not a business owner, so I've got to distance myself a bit here from the outrage. But yeah, I can't imagine what it might be like to put up with this crap, because the stuff he was fighting over was zoning ordinances and like sewer impactments and things of this nature. Like, you want to say mundane stuff. It wasn't like, they were forcing him out of his home or something like this. And just the attempt to live his life and, prosper, do just basic things on the property was just being fought with constantly to the extent that he just that's it. He's like, I'm not even doing this anymore, but I've got a little side project in mind. And I got to say, he did this quietly on the side because nobody seemed alarmed at the fact that he was fabricating his own tank out of a bulldozer on his property. So kudos to him on that front. Yeah.
You remember when, I guess we were teenagers, when the movie Tank came out with James Garner, Shirley Jones, C. Thomas Howell. That was a great movie. And I'm now of the opinion that people should own tanks. This is not a kooky thing.
Yeah, and it was, basically they were, the sewage thing from what I read was that, he had bought some property and then they realized there was a sewage problem. And the prior owners, I don't know, was it like they dumped cement in the sewer or cement mixer centers? And it was his responsibility, they were telling him. And the cost of repair of that was far exceeding the cost of him buying the property.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, but it was buried. There's no way of knowing this. How is this my responsibility? And, go after the people that did it. No. And basically he just said, well, instead of doing that, I'm going to do this. And promptly built a tank. So, yeah, it's one of these days now where we're like, I almost want to say that I'm turning into that crotchety old asshole, but I think really it's just like eyes opening kind of thing where
you're not turning into a crotchety old asshole.
Good.
You've been there for a while.
Okay, and now we're even.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I can't even get mad. I was like, you. Okay,
you walked into that one so
earned
hard.
it. Okay, got it. No, it's just I've never really had any kind of affection for the government, to be honest. So now it's just to the point where the job that I do, I'm probably exposed to it a lot more, and I can see it more frequently to the extent I'm like, yeah, Waco doesn't sound like such a crackpot idea anymore, and things of that nature. So it's I'm not exactly building up the Fort Lauderdale militia over here or anything, but my sympathies do rest on that side. I'll say that much. So.
I think he has more sympathizers now than he did then. I really do.
Sure.
And he had quite a bit then. But I think now it's like 94% of people are like, dude, they're at the point where they're identifying with this guy and the movie Falling Down. We're at that point.
Well, I think, what it is when it first transpired, we're seeing helicopter shots of this guy driving an earth mover through buildings. And you're like, wow, dude, that's a little excessive, man. You really exploded. And here we are 20 years later, and we're like, I wonder if the plans are online anywhere. Can I download that? Is that something possible? But
yeah,
that's where also I've trended from the Republican Party into the more libertarian side of things. I'm actually consider myself a constitutional monarchist these days. So yeah, it's like the fucking government off my lawn. That's basically where I'm at these days. It's not you kids shut up, you're getting too loud. It's just like you're from the House of Representatives. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
The government actually has to work very, very hard to get on my lawn where I'm at. So
yeah, you've got that going for you.
That's I do. I have that going for me. It's nice.
Where you live, I think the term revenuers is more likely to come into play with government officials than anything else.
Yes.
Yeah. Saw some of them guys on the back 40 creeping around looking for the still. Get my scatter gun.
Yeah, I tried watching that Moonshiners show on History Channel or whatever it is that it shows up on, and I'm like, isn't this defeating the purpose of actually making moonshine? Having it televised? I mean, am I missing something?
Well, it also strikes me that probably the most impactful thing on the moonshine business would be thermal imaging software and appliances. I mean, the very fact that, you could just sit there and scan the woods and, hey, there's a big pink spot out there. That's got to be them some bitches. That's about all it's going to take to catch a moonshiner these days, unless you could properly somehow get a subterranean still and mask the heat that it gives off. I doubt it. It's just, I think a chopper can fly over the woods and was like, oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, very true. It has been a fun day of remembrance to what could have been.
Yes,
and maybe could to what's probably coming down the pike.
Yeah, I did a piece today over at Town Hall where Ted Koppel, you remember him?
I do. I used to. I will admit that there were nights where I was allowed to stay up past 10 o'clock, and I would watch Dateline, and so I still remember him from when I was in high school doing Dateline. I always thought his hair looked kind of funny, and it was years later that I realized, oh, that's not his hair. But what happened to this guy? I watched his
I haven't
Civil
seen
War
much
thing,
of him
and I'm like,
years, and like all of a sudden I just saw videos.
well, he retired. There was a big
now,
to do when he retired, and he was going to just go away. And now he's back.
He's now a
and I'm like,
senior correspondent, as they say, which I think is about the most appropriate term for somebody who's actually older than Joe Biden. And
yeah,
yet there's Ted.
I think he came back. Yeah, I think he came back because a lot of places are desperate to reestablish cred since they don't do news anymore. And that includes the big three networks, that we grew up with. So I think that's one of the reasons why he came back, to get that sheen.
It ain't working. I'm just going to tell you that. So there's Ted Koppel doing a piece on, he's actually at Gettysburg, out in the field. Okay, he's at the battleground, leaning on a cannon and talking with the local Gettysburg official of influencing and education. How about that for a little bit of a big
last time when I went to Gettysburg, they were just docents. I mean, there was no big title like that. Right?
This
just exists.
This is a park ranger that wants to fill up his business card, is what it is.
Okay.
The guy's he's got the jacket and the badge right there, and it's just like, I wanted to walk up to him, like, hey, boo boo, where's the picnic basket? excuse me, sir, this is Gettysburg. We don't do that here. So Ted Koppel's talking to this guy like he's some political official. He's like, no, Mike, explain to us, please. What is the significance here of Well, let me just tell you, and I saw this. They had the Confederate flag in the Capitol, and this guy's going off, and Ted Koppel is just sitting there sweating and going, oh, my God, this guy's beautiful. Because they wanted to tie the Civil War into Donald Trump. And can you believe it, that there's a statue of Robert E. Lee right here after he got his ass handed to him on this battlefield? So his entire piece was about the war on memories, because apparently MAGA Nation is rewriting history or some nonsense. Ted was like all over the map and at the same time lost, claiming that, you know, the what brought the rise of Civil War is what's bringing the rise of Trump. And he actually said that the celebration they had with Fort Sumter falling and the kickoff of the war reminds him of what he sees at Trump rallies. And it's like, Ted, you were not there, so shut up. Okay, it's not reminding you of anything. You're, granted, again, older than Biden, but you still weren't around when the Mason-Dixon line was being drawn in the sand with chalk. Shut up.
This is completely desperate because, you know, we do have accounts of what happened at Fort Sumter, and rather vivid ones. And you can draw parallels to something like Charlottesville, maybe, that occurred several years ago, but you can't make that comparison to something that lives on in oral history and in written history, but not actually witnessed history. There's nobody around from the Civil War that saw that. You know, it's
what's amazing
ridiculous
to me is that, you know, it's Ted Koppel. We're supposed to respect him, and we're supposed to listen to his wise words. And it was like, no, dumb shit. No, it's not like that. He's mad because, and from there he went to Virginia, where a couple of schools are being renamed to Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson.
They're reverting to their old names because
this is just
the wokeness has been eradicated.
But this is what cracked me up, is he's getting pissy and say, these people are just erasing memories. And it's just like, dude, that's what they did in 2020, because they stripped those names down with Black Lives Matter. They were erasing history. We're putting history
people who were
back.
Actually,
and he's getting mad about
but
it.
it's the wrong history. See?
Well, they just don't. The thing is this is the Civil War is a classic case of doomed to repeat it if you don't acknowledge it. You know? and
yeah,
so
I'm
really
looking at
straining
Germany
here to yeah, exactly. And they're trying to say that Donald Trump is fostering the next Civil War. And okay, but you're trying to erase the Civil War. Bring it back and show the horrors of it. And no, we're not doing that. We're not going there. That's bad. But no, if you strip the statues down and erase it, then guess what? We don't talk about it in schools. Kids don't know about it. That's prone to happen again. It's the way it works, Ted.
It has been. It's almost like they're. I don't think he knows what the Civil War was about, or much less when it happened, or what. Honestly, I think it's a talking point to this guy.
Well, this is how bad it got for him in this piece, because he's trying to imply that MAGA Nation wants to erase our history so they could go back to the Civil War and slavery. It's like, well, one, I've never seen that talking point ever. Sorry. I don't know anybody that's got that on their platform, but let me know. But two, you're getting mad because the Civil War history is being brought back, and then mad because MAGA Nation's ignoring that history, but they want to go back to it at the same time. Pick a lane, buddy. You can't say they're ignoring history while they want to bring back slavery, because that means they want to acknowledge history and bring it back. So,
it's kind of like they're trying to imprint on in our, I guess, in our memories. They're trying to imprint the possibility of conflating both the Civil War and upcoming Civil War that would be sparked by the right, and I'm like, no, the Civil War wouldn't happen the way it happened back then. That back then it was pretty much, by the line, the parallel. I mean, it was defined by those in the South versus those in the North and vice versa. Now, this Civil War would be literally neighbor against neighbor. It would not be delineated by several states seceding or, none of that would happen. That's not the way a civil war would actually work in this country. And I don't think that people understand that we're at the stage where it's no longer about the states' rights, which was part of the foundation for the Civil War. It's the people's rights. And there are some people up north that are just as pissed as the people down south for the same reason. So
I tell you what I think is going on. I'm going to throw this in the category of projection. And I think that the left actually enjoys that idea of a civil war or a break or a divorce in this country, and they're just trying to workshop this. They keep bringing it up to see if there's a viable avenue for this to take place. Because
yes, it has been.
They're always the ones to bring it up, and I don't see like at Trump rallies or something where they're, "That's it, we're done with this country. We're attacking you." The movie Civil War just came out a month or so ago, and that too seemed a lurch of sorts. It was like the concept appeals to them that they never explained what the war was about in the film, like what caused the rift. They kind of had a guy positioned in the Trump position of not stepping down from the presidency, but that was about it. It was never this side versus that side, and here's the opposing viewpoints and such. It was just the guy doesn't want to leave the White House and he's killing journalists. Oh, and by the way, our hero of the movie is a journalist who's going to Washington to interview the president. Like, wait a second.
Hold up.
You just told me he's killing journalists on site, so you're sending a journalist to go have a sit-down interview with the guy.
Okay, that's kind of flat.
I got questioned, but that's what I'm talking about. Is they just keep bringing up this concept of a civil war, and they're like, what if we tried that, or maybe over here if that thing did it? Like they're trying to set the table and see if MAGA bites at it.
I have seen instances where there have been people that have tweeted certain things out that have been rather alarming, not in the way that you think it's alarming, but alarming in that it's happening behind the scenes. And there was this young woman who was in a DM group of there were several hundred people in that DM group. And before the verdict came down for Trump, several people actually were added to the group. They requested to be added to the group or something, and the admin had approved them or whatever. And these people, after Trump was found guilty, they were inciting action. And she was alarmed because the people in that group that she knew were not that type. That was weird. And so she left the group and she tweeted about it. She said, if you guys are in a group where, you're there, it's a conservative group, it's a political group, and suddenly some people are starting to say, maybe we should fight back, maybe we should start another insurrection, maybe we should do this. Get out of that group right now. Because it had, in her opinion, she felt that it had been infiltrated. And there were people that had different objectives that were trying to instigate action. And that was, to her, a very alarming thing.
Look at the press itself. How frequently and how often are they promising that MAGA Nation is going to rise up violently? And as soon as Trump is found guilty, they're going to riot in the streets. Never happened. Didn't happen during the indictments. Didn't happen during the sentencing. Didn't happen when it came out. I mean, every single time they promised this, there's been a few times that like 500 members of the press showed up and 3 people from MAGA Nation waving a flag because they were just so convinced violence would break out.
Well, you remember back in 2016 when Trump won, and when he was at the inauguration after her swearing in and everything, her first day, Gay Patriot was saying, day one of still not being incarcerated in a gay detention camp. Remember? And he just kept going throughout until he got banned for something. And then when he came back, he kept going.
But the thing is, I remember after Trump won, it was the Democrats and the Hillary followers that were in the streets breaking glass and busting windows and everything else because they were so pissed off and couldn't handle it.
Denying the election results.
Yeah.
Remember that.
But they're
were election
promising MAGA Nation is going to turn violent, and yet we've seen rampant violence breaking out across the country on college campuses, and all they've done is deny that it's happening. It's like, sorry, but...
There was something interesting about that term. Remember how they use maggot? They put the T at the end. It's almost the same verbiage as Uncle Tom to me, because a lot of people don't understand how beneficial maggots are to the environment. They really don't. They think maggots are like ugly or, just bad things. And I'm like, no, I mean, for God's sake, we still use them in medicine.
Plus they help out forensic detectives quite frequently as well.
Yes, exactly. They clean up, they keep wounds clean. They, they disinfect everything. And it's amazing to me that, for the longest time, I was like, I can't believe they're calling them maggots. And I'm like, I think they should embrace it now. I think they should actually say, do you know what a maggot does?
Well, the thing is, they've also taken it too far because it's now it's like racist and Nazi. Just if you have any opinion at all that might trend right of center, you're MAGA. It's like, oh, jeez.
Oh, I've been classified as MAGA. I don't understand it. I'm like, dude, I'm literally voting for him because he is the obvious person that's going to be on the ticket. Because voting for Biden is a no-go for me. But that doesn't mean I like the guy. As a matter of fact, I do have a very strict policy. I don't like any politicians, even the ones that come closest, like Ted Cruz. I still don't like him. I just don't. I refuse to like a politician. Why? Because they're politicians. Yeah. I've never met the only good politician I can recall in history was Cincinnatus. That's it. That's the only one.
I would say my favorite
5,000 years ago?
My favorite politician is retired. Nobody in particular, just that. But I mean, there's certain politicians.
Obviously, it wasn't 5,000 years ago, but I was exaggerating.
Did he die on June 6th?
No, he did not.
Okay, just checking. Well, anyway, why don't we veer over into some more lighthearted, distracting fare?
Well, we can delve into sports because I know someone is very happy.
Panthers? The Broadway pansies have been sent home.
Broadway pansies? That's what you call them?
Well, it's a family show. Usually I call them the Broadway pussies, but that's I don't want anybody to be offended that might be listening, so I don't use that term, you understand. No, it's the Rangers. I've never had respect for the Rangers. I taught my daughter to boo Ranger jerseys before she could speak. So it's like her first words were "Mama, Dada, boo." And I'd take her to games and she would do it and piss people off, and I would just chortle and go sit in my seat with her. But yeah, we closed out the series. Their offense was anemic, non-existent, wasn't there, and the Panthers just held court, stifled them, smothering defense, massive forecheck, good goaltending, and frustrating the living hell out of their stars. One of their big stars, Andre Panarin, the bread guy. I think he had one goal in the series, and he scored it with like 2 minutes left in the final game. I mean, that's how ineffective their offense was.
Wow.
And yeah, I can't say the Panthers cruised. I mean, the series was tight as I knew it was going to be, but literally it was like 2 deflections away from a 4-0 sweep because the Rangers got a couple successive overtime wins. But yeah, I mean, Panthers look good. Honestly, this team, I don't see a weakness. I don't think anybody's injured. We've got a crap ton of guys that are scratches, healthy. So even if we get people hurt, we can back them up. I mean, I feel really good. And in the Edmonton-Dallas series, I got to say this. I might have lost a friend. I think our friend of the show, Nessikins, might be she may have blocked me at this point. Cause
No, she has not.
all last week she was, come on, guys, we got to pull for Dallas. We can't let Canada go. And I was like, I want Edmonton. I want the Oilers because.
Okay, first of all, her logic was very sound.
Oh, no, I get that. But
okay,
I'm thinking about me and my team here. So between Dallas and Edmonton, I was like, you know what? I'll take the Oilers. I think we can handle them. Yes,
So
Connor
you think
McDavid's best in the world and all that, but they got very weak defense. Their goalie is garbage.
Also,
I think we could take them. But then again, watching the last two games, Dallas looked like hot cat vomit, actually. So I was like, maybe we should have played them. But now their goalie Ottinger was pretty good in the series. So I was like, yeah, give me Skinner. I'll take Skinner any day. So, and somebody posted that the Florida Panthers, to get to the Stanley Cup, we played probably three of the toughest goalies in the entire NHL, save for our own. We got by Vasilevsky in Tampa, who's just a perennial top 5 keeper. And then Boston, their guy was standing on his head. And then we just took care of Igor in New York, and he was playing lights out the entire series. He was a brick to get past, but we did. So that's why you're giving me Skinner now, and it's like this is going to be a sigh of relief. Like, oh, thank God. So,
well, I do hope that if it is the Edmonton Oilers, it works obviously to the advantage that you are expecting. I'm hoping. I'm sorry. I'm just like Nessa. I don't want the Canucks to get the Stanley Cup.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah. I think for that reason, there's a lot of people. And now it cracks me up. Every so often I hear people like, oh, man, I can't. There's no way I can vote for the Florida Panthers. Why? It's like, who did we piss off? That cracks me up. It's like, we're not the Maple Leafs. But I get it.
We're not the Maple Leafs.
I'm serious. Like, if you're not in Toronto, pretty much everybody just resents the hell out of Toronto. It's just a fact.
Well, everybody resents Toronto, Ottawa, and Montreal. It's just they just do. Everybody else outside of that is okay. Winnipeg is fine.
I mean, everybody.
Edmonton used to be great.
Well, they're finally. I don't know. I don't even think they're where they should be. That Edmonton has had so many top 5, top 10 draft picks over the years. They should be perennial Stanley Cup champs by this point, and they're not. I mean, Connor McDavid's best in the world, hands down. But you also got Draisaitl. He's good. Nugent Hopkins was another top pick, and he's pretty decent. They've loaded up on offense. They got nobody playing on the back end, though. And I think we match up well. I think we'll frustrate. All we got to do is frustrate McDavid, keep an eye on Draisaitl, and I think we'll be fine. So we'll take a look and see how that all goes. I'm excited. Everything kicks off Saturday night.
So I'm guessing I might hear from you on Monday, maybe, if it goes well.
We'll see how everything goes. It's at this point, I can't attest to what my condition will be, positive or negative, to be honest.
Well, we shall witness it on Twitter, I'm sure.
If if we go down 2 games by that point, I might be like, just walking around with a bourbon IV in my arm or something like that, but we'll find out. I'll tell you one thing I'm doing, though. Canceling my season tickets to the WNBA, that's for sure.
Like you had any.
I don't even think Miami has a team. I don't know. I want to say they might have or they didn't. Something like that. But
I know that Dallas and Houston each have a team because their names correspond to the basketball teams there. So, and I believe San Antonio has one too. I could be wrong. So, the Rockets and the Comets. Dallas has the Mavericks and I forget it. I've forgotten. That's how bad it is. Rockets, I have forgotten.
The Rockets are NBA.
Yes, but the women's team's names correspond to the male team's names. That's what I'm talking about. So the Rockets, the Comets. See what I mean?
Oh, okay, I got you. Now I see what you're doing.
They decided to do this matchy thing, which I really grates on my nerves completely. But, whatever. I didn't have a say in it. But I do not think anybody has season tickets to the WNBA MD, at least not anymore. Apparently, there's a big brouhaha going on in the NBA since Caitlin Clark became their featured.
Yeah, so
player.
Caitlin Clark has been, the supreme focus since the NCAA tournament, and she was. I don't think she won the national championship, but she was, driving her team, best in the league. She was the number 1 draft pick for the WNBA, and has brought in a crap ton of attention. They had some of the highest ratings seen for the women's college basketball tournament as a result of her. And consequently, so did WNBA when she began playing. And the amazement is that this is delivering significant amounts of resentment in the press and in the league. So we have brilliant minds like Jamel Hill who has to come out and inject racism into this. Oh, she's getting all this attention because she's white. And it's like, why does that matter? Why?
You know what she is?
Does that matter?
She is the embodiment of a colostomy bag. That's Jamel Hill right there.
Well, it's, because what comes out of her is a load of crap, that's for sure. But, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And there was, talk of, it's not fair that she's getting the first shoe contract ever. And all these there's been no black players given a shoe contract. I
believe Cheryl Soups had one.
I think it's Mike Phillips at USA Today was barking about that. It was something like devastating or some other hysterical adjective was used to the fact that no black players have a shoe contract. Why do you give a rat's ass? Why does that matter to anybody who's a grown-up? But then subsequent to that, one of the black players in the league also got a shoe contract. How about that? So shut up. And
yeah,
I could literally give 2 craps about the WNBA. Don't really care. But I find it fascinating that this woman shows up and is bringing positive news, not Brittany Griner smuggling drugs into Russia and sitting in jail for over a year. And
a male jail. I'm going to underline that every single time I can. But go on.
Oh, my gosh, you went there.
I did. I will.
Which is why I'm laughing. No, I've seen topless photos.
Yes.
That's a
you
mad
don't even have
man.
to see, yeah. You don't even have to see the topless photos. All you have to look is the neck. You can tell. And I'm like, and the thing is, being an anthropologist trained in that, we can tell the differences between the male physique and the female physique, and even down to the facial features and everything. And it blows my mind that people are still saying that that's a woman. I'm like, I'm sorry, that is not a woman. Here are 13 points. Why? But I mean, whatever. Moving on. And you're right. I mean, Caitlin Clark has been an example and a positive role model to other girls, regardless of race, and they're taking that away from her because she is the wrong race.
Yeah, and they've, it's come to light now. The players in the league are resentful of her, and she's been targeted in certain ways in certain games, and receiving flagrant fouls. And then over the weekend, she was playing Angel Reese's team. This was her college rival in the NCAA. And it wasn't like, competitive rivalry. We respect each other and she's always pushing. No, Angel Reese hates and resents.
Oh, she has for a long time. Yeah.
Just, it makes no bones about it. Like, yeah, bitch, the hoe, that kind of thing. I mean, it's literally that bitter. And there was a play where they were getting set up for a free throw, I want to say, or, inbounds. The play was dead for the most part. And Caitlin Clark just got her hands on her knees, catching her breath or something, and one of Reese's teammates came up and just jacked her. Slammed her into her shoulder, knocked her down.
That's not all she did. Caught from the other angle, you could read her lips, and she was saying, "You bitch," before she hit her and knocked her down.
And then...
So it was both verbal and physical abuse.
And then she goes
Which,
to the bench.
by the way, the league frowns on and will eject you from a game for that, for just verbal. I've seen it happen in the NBA. So I'm still wondering why it didn't happen in the WNBA.
She didn't even get a major technical foul. It was just
she didn't.
Standard free throw foul. And this is calling into question what's going on in the league, because people are saying, they're targeting her in this fashion. The refs aren't doing much. Not that they're supposed to specifically protect her, but they're not appropriately calling fouls. And even Clark's teammates aren't exactly standing up to defend her.
No, so this is a woman that has stirred a lot of resentment simply because of her achievements, which says a lot about the weaknesses in the WNBA itself. These are women that complain that they want to be viewed as equal to the NBA. They want to be seen as equal to the male players. They want to stand on their own, and yet they act like this. They are very tribal, and I'm like, I think it was Daddy Warpig that had a tweet about women being the delicate sex, and he's saying, I don't understand why people think that. And I told him, I said, that's probably the greatest lie ever perpetrated, between the sexes, because it is not true. Women are the more violent and the more hostile of the two sexes. It has always been thus. Men are prone to be physically more able to attack in defense of women or attack in war or anything like that. But when it comes to being hostile and violent, the women take it. I mean, seriously, the men come so far a distant second that it's not even funny.
Well, that's why I always laugh when you see those memes or somebody make a comment of, well, if women ran the world, there would be no wars.
Oh,
bitch, please.
I'm
would send rockets across the border just because their flag looked too close to your own.
MD can probably back me up on this, but I believe the reason Genghis Khan was so effective in conquering almost everything except Japan was the fact that the women were the ones conducting all of the campaigns back home. Yeah. So, I'm not saying for lack of nothing, women cannot do the job. They can do it very well, but they have to work together. And the trick was they had to work under Genghis Khan. So.
I mean, men are good tacticians, but women are devious. And that can be very valuable in wartime conditions. So, and this is the thing. I'm not like squeamish, like, oh my gosh, they hit Caitlin Clark. Oh my God, I'm a hockey guy. The physical part of it is what's pissing me off. But
I'm sorry. There's a meme in chat.
Yeah.
Killdozer.
Okay, again, I'm going to need to be professional.
I'm sorry, but the time machine one, girls with the time machine.
I saw that this morning.
Boys with the time machine. That's a great one.
So, since I was talking,
okay, go ahead.
Like I give a shit. What cracks me up about this though is Caitlin Clark should be like, this is a league that has never made money ever.
It's completely floated by the
Ever.
NBA.
Completely subsidized by the men. And a few months ago when she signed her contract and some of the bleeding heart, see, this illustrates the pay disparity between men and women. NBA, it's not fair. The girls should have a fair wage. It's like your league loses money every year. A fair wage would be sending them a bill. So shut up is my point. But
these women want the same salaries that men bring in, and I'm like, well, men fill the seats. I don't know what to tell you.
It was like when Megan Rapinoe was doing that whole thing too. It's like, the women's team should get paid commensurate to the men. It's like, okay, your stadium gets $2,000 a game.
Not to mention, y'all got beaten by a high school boys team.
Yeah.
Come on.
Put some bums in the seats and then we'll talk, okay, Megan? Until then, you're getting paid what you earn. And that's the way it works in sports, This is what's amazing, though, is that Caitlin Clark has been nothing but positive PR. She was great at the NCAA level. She's brought people and ratings to the WNBA. And they're busting on her. They're mad at her. They're pissed off at her. Rising tide lifts all boats, babes. That's all I'm saying. Get on board. No, instead, we have to knock her down. We have to treat her like crap. We have to be resentful. We have to be racist. Well, guess what that's going to do? People are going to say, what am I tuning into this shit for? Bye. I don't care for all this conflict. I'm going to go watch an NHL game. He said ironically.
I know. Yeah. And let's face it, that's just hot boxing on ice. I think that was one of my favorite jokes growing up was, I went to a boxing match and a hockey game broke out.
I went to a fight and a game.
Yeah.
It's not quite like that anymore, but it is, but still.
It is. It's still that. Come on.
You have to love a game where the men police themselves. So that's why when the WNBA has their star player knocked on her ass and the teammates don't do anything, sorry. This with the NHL, that other player in about 3 seconds would be met with retribution.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, look what happened between Nolan Ryan and what's his name, Robin Ventura. Mm-hmm. Ventura decides to go well on him, and Nolan Ryan was not having any of it, and all of his teammates came to Ryan, which caused all of Ventura's teammates to get over there too. But yeah, your teammates would back you up. They should back you up. And
I gotta say, that's one of my
none of them did.
One of the funniest damn things in baseball is when they have a bench clearing brawl.
It's fun.
It's always about 4 guys, maybe 6 swinging, and the rest of them come out and like, hey. And my favorite is when the jackasses from the bullpen come trotting out from like 300 yards away in their rain slicker. We're coming, guys. We're coming. I'm going to lend moral support as I stand on second base and watch.
Oh no! One of my favorite ones was actually a setup between the two teams, and it was supposed to happen right at the bottom of the 6th, prior to the 7th inning stretch, I think. And so it was at the bottom of whatever inning it was, and prior to the stretch. And so the pitcher throws like a foul ball or something, and so the other guy, the one that was the hitter, rushes to him, and so everybody rushes out, and then they start doing YMCA to entertain the people in the stands. It was glorious, and of course it was minor league, but
that sounds like the Savannah Bananas.
They have done so. I love the Savannah Bananas. I watch their stuff on YouTube all the time, and I think it was inspired by them and the Macon Whoopee as well. They used to do a lot of that stuff too.
They've changed their name.
They have changed their name, yes.
They're
but I
now
still
the
call
Macon
them
Bacon.
I still call them the Macon Whoopee.
I just love the fact that making bacon has become offensive.
Problematic as well.
Well, this is just fostering unhealthy eating habits, and you should change your name because I think it's not right to tell. It's like, great. Go to the concession stand because we got 27 recipes in there with bacon. So you can go cry in your napkin if that's what you really want to do. The busybody. This is why I want to build a bulldozer.
Yes. Killdozer.
There's another team that has a pig as its mascot in the minor leagues. And so they had a contest. Name the mascot. You know, and I don't know if it comes out on the field and plays around or something in between games or whatever. And so the not unanimous, but the overwhelming choice, they called it Ozempig.
Oh, my word.
That's not really nice because there's people that have weight loss issues, and this is making fun of the fact, and it's almost in a form of fat shaming, and the fact that it's a pig only constitutes a compounding of that shame that the people are...
Oh, whatever.
How vacant is your life that you get pissed off about a minor league baseball team's mascot that's a pig?
Well, they tried doing that because we have a month for the San Antonio Missions. They have a month where they're the flying chanclas.
The chanclas, yes.
Okay. The chanclas, right? And somebody got upset about that. And they were, I don't know, but they were saying that was a really violent stereotype. I'm like,
guaranteed.
I don't understand.
Guaranteed.
I'm like,
it was a white woman making that complaint.
A young white college student, female. I'm pretty sure of it. And so
my arms are over my head in victory salute as we speak. Yes, because, and I think you could probably back me up on this, Aggie, as you are a individual who's derivative of Hispanic origin. I don't know a single Latinx individual who's upset at chanclas.
I swear to God, I will kill you next time.
I'm sorry. What I was speaking. Excuse me. What? I didn't catch that.
It will hurt you.
She said the Latinx minx is going to stab you.
Oh my God.
I don't know why you're so violent. I don't know. You want the knives. You got to put them down.
I'm violent because I am Hispanic.
You need to calm down. You're too violent with the knifings and stuff.
Oh, by the way, my dad gifted me a new knife. Of course he did. Anyway.
There you go. She comes by it honestly. No, I seriously don't know a single Hispanic that if because I'm in South Florida, this is commonplace. This topic comes up
and
frequently, and I have yet to hear a single Hispanic individual even come close to getting upset. If I mention chocolates, like, oh hell yeah, we just talked about it this weekend. In fact, we had Gage's birthday party. We were all celebrating, and Luna was there with us too. And we were talking about chanclas, and Gage was like chancla, and then like 3 people are like, "Oh yeah, that's when you take the thing up." No one has been like, "I can't believe you said that."
No, I'm serious. It came out of the blue, and apparently, I'm pretty sure that it had to have been a female, white, college age. It had to, but apparently, this got some traction. I want to say it was UTSA. This was a couple of years ago, and the missions put out a statement saying, "You don't understand what this means to our culture, and what you're trying to do is take it away, and it's not going to happen." Basically, they said no, and they were interviewing a lot of young women of Hispanic origin and a lot of older people, and they said, "We love the fact that it's the flying checklist. I mean, it's our culture. This is what we do." And the thing is, it's not just our culture. Every woman around the world does the same thing. It just so happens that chanclas is the word that we use in Spanish.
It just cracks me up that there are people that are offended on behalf of other culture. Aren't you appropriating offenses when you do that? I mean, just to follow their own illogic. I'm offended on your behalf. Well, you go take your wine box and go cry somewhere else.
I hate that. Don't be offended on my behalf. If I choose to be offended, which I seldom do, as a matter of fact, I can't even remember the last time I was offended, that's on me. It's my job to be offended for something. It's not your job to be offended for me. As a matter of fact, I find that to be ingratiating. And frankly, it's just another way for you to make me feel inferior and stupid. And this is what they just don't understand. This is what... I
don't think you understand, Aggie. You need the white savior on your behalf.
This is one of the things, one of the remnants of affirmative action, one of the little tributaries from this stupid meandering river we call affirmative action that has damaged a lot of minorities. This constant, we need to do this on your behalf because you're voting against your own interests. You don't know what your interests are. We need to tell you what your interests should be. No, I cannot stress enough how insulting that is. And yet they keep doing it because they think, it's like the whole robber baron, versus, goody two shoes. The robber baron can at least fall asleep, but the goody two shoes keep doing it with the blessing of their conscience. And that's what kills everything.
Well, this is where it cracks me up, though, is that they take this to such an extreme that they've become so marinated in this crap that just racism is rampant and we need to stamp it out at all costs and go all over, that they have all these preset narratives. And then when those narratives get defined by actual facts and completely derail said narrative, then they have to save face. So case in point, I still crack up at this. I came across it again this week. When a case of a black individual that was shot by police, the default is racism. Before they even looked into whether or not the individual did anything to precipitate the shooting, it's a clear case of racism. Police shot another black individual. And then there you go. Oops. There were 5 police officers involved. Oh, quintuple oops. All 5 of them were black.
Well, it was like...
What's the interpretation here now? How do we deal with this? Oh, well, we already put all this out there in the press and the news and all this. Oh, but...
They basically call them Oreos.
This is called... This was a shooting as a result of multiracial whiteness.
Mm-hmm. Multiracial whiteness. Basically, they called the black cops Oreos, wanting to be white. And I'm like, whoa. Who's using the stereotypes now?
These black officers are working within a white system, and therefore they adapted all of the whiteness. Chief of police is black. Mayor's black. The whole... Where's this whiteness that they're getting fed, intravenously or otherwise?
Well, it's coming from the police academy because they're teaching, to protect and to serve. And that's actually
that
blah,
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 the training
blah,
manuals were written by a white guy 40 years ago. And therefore,
pretty much where they're coming from.
Institutional.
No,
this is the same.
It's insane. I mean, you remember when Kyle Rittenhouse, when the trial started, there were so many people online saying, I had no idea that the people he shot were white. They had thought that Kyle Rittenhouse had shot black people. And that was an assumption that the media fed. Okay. Nowhere. I mean, I went back and I would look and they stoked the flames of racial discord when it came to Kyle Rittenhouse. And a lot of people were stunned to find out that the 3 guys were actually white.
Well, this is another reason. The Trump trial was another, but this is when I say this is why we need cameras in courtrooms, because that Rittenhouse trial, at the time it was going on, I was following it, ardently, I'd say. But I mean, I was watching dispatches throughout the day, what took place in the trial, that kind of thing. And then I watched the nightly news covering the trial. And what they were insisting took place was so divergent from the actual trial.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and it was a racial shooting. It's like there's a white guy on the stand. He was the lone survivor. His two buddies were on skateboards, not to be racist, but generally considered a white sport. The other one was like a domestic violence individual who, quite frankly,
I believe one of them was a sexual predator. And
thank you, Kyle, for cleansing our society in your fashion. No, he's a racist for shooting white people. While, by the way, he was defending a business in town owned by a minority, which is why he was in town to begin with. All of this gets lost because mentioned in the trial, not mentioned in the trial coverage. How about that? And we saw the same crap taking place with Donald Trump in his trial.
Oh, yes.
Stormy Daniels takes the stand. And, the judge said, no, you're just going to talk about the business arrangement. We don't want to hear about your night spent together. And then allowed her to go 20 minutes talking about her night spent together with him. He didn't wear a condom. Gasp. MSNBC covered that for like 20 minutes with a panel.
Well,
Donald Trump didn't wear a condom. And she comes from a state in which abortion is limited. And therefore she can... It's like, you dipshit.
So she not have... Yeah, she didn't have any contraception herself?
This woman has been getting railed by people for years, okay? I think she's got the concept of preventing pregnancy.
The same people that tell me the woman has the power, her body, her choice, and she could have said no, but this was not an option? Really?
Well, that's the thing, is they were also selling that concept. She felt so helpless, and she laid on the bed and still, and she said that she was almost blacking out because this powerful man... Shut up.
And then she says that he had a winky dink, and I'm like, well, which is it? I don't understand. You can't tell me it's one or the other.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but the star of Badass Gangbanger 6 is all of a sudden meek and mild and can't handle a 50-year-old.
Is that really the title?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm guessing. Who looks at the title when you watch these? I've heard. No, she's been in 200 plus adult films. Okay, this woman is a little bit attuned to the coital experience. Is my point. All right. I'm trying not to call her a hoe or a slut because she's a professional. Whore.
She's a professional hoe.
But all of a sudden, this one evening, she was just she was overwhelmed by the power that was wielded by this man, and she was defenseless. And while he's in his pajamas, she felt as if she had no control of the situation, and he didn't wear a condom, and she didn't. Shut.
I really wish I'd have known you guys were talking about this tonight. I so would have ripped the audio of Richard Karn yelling, "I like my hose."
I didn't know what we were going to talk about her.
Yeah, this
is off the cuff, man.
Yeah. I almost said this just sort of came up, but that's poor phrasing on my part. She's not this poor little helpless dainty waif of an individual. Oh, it's not. I was helpless. Shut up.
Hey, you gave me the excuse to use my rim shot sound effect, so I'm happy. So.
More phrasing.
Oh, stop.
But
hey, I said rim shot, not rim job, you perv.
Still applies. I'm just.
Oh my god.
I stand by my comment. But this is the big tell here why cameras should be in the courtroom, because what was really left out of almost all of the significant coverage, and that by significant I mean CNN, MSNBC, was when Stormy Daniels is talking about herself being a medium and an individual who speaks to the dead and who performed an exorcism on her boyfriend because he was possessed by evil spirits. That got left on the cutting room floor, conveniently enough.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow none of that pertained to the... How about this? This just, I couldn't well, I could believe it, but I was just amazed that they did this. Last night, MSNBC, they had a panel complaining about CNN's legal analyst, Eli Corning. Eli
He
over
was
there.
the one that wrote that that piece after the trial that people were pissed off over.
You mean the objective coverage of the trial where he's
Yes.
pointing out the
Yes.
flaws of the prosecution? Yeah.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, they're mad at Eli Hornig and laying into him the hardest with the most outlandish argument. This guy's a worthless piece of crap. Michael Cohen.
Of all people.
MSNBC
a felon.
literally brought him on the panel to be a legal expert on the case in which he is a recidivist liar on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
The guy has multiple charges of giving false testimony. I mean, that's him. On the stand, admitted, and people are still flabbergasted by this. He admitted on the stand to embezzling tens of thousands of dollars from Donald Trump. A crime that greatly exceeds the crime in the current trial that he was in.
Yes. An actual crime as opposed to the, trumped up stuff. No pun intended.
And MSNBC has him on as a legal analyst criticizing another lawyer who actually analyzed things correctly and accurately and soberly. I can't do anything but laugh at these idiots.
There was a lot of, there was a lot of unexpected things from the trial itself. And I don't think that people are understanding. They're severely misunderstanding the outcome of this trial. They really are. And the people that are just not comprehending what's going on, they're the ones that never take into account human nature in any of their projected, things. So this is not really working out the way they thought it was going.
No, and I'm still going to anticipate looking at the polling numbers in the next week or two. They're going to be the most reflective. But even the flash polls right now are showing Donald Trump benefiting. Donald Trump hoovered in tens of millions after the
that's exactly
sentencing.
it. You're take away the polls for now. The fact that this incentivized so many people to donate to Donald Trump's campaign to the point where they crashed the site.
People couldn't donate because there were too many people donating. I mean, it
was insane. And on the first day, it was like, $50 million? And now it's well over 200 million. And people are like, well, I don't understand why people are donating. And I'm like, I'll tell you why. Because what you did, the problem is not Trump. It's what you did to Trump. Is how you went about trying to get this guy. That's the problem. And people are seeing that this isn't about Trump anymore. This is about what the government is willing to do to anybody. This is why Hochul had to come out and say to the businesses that were worried about what was happening with the charges against Trump, telling them, oh no, this is not going to affect the businesses in New York. You guys are safe, blah, blah, blah. And the businesses were telling her, but this is what we do. You're putting him on trial for the stuff that we do every day. And she's like, yeah, but this is not about you. So yeah, it is about Trump. It's about getting Trump. And that's when people started to kind of wake up to the fact that this Democratic Party is no longer the Democratic Party they grew up with. And it is now a very dangerous machine.
Well, here's where it gets... I watched a segment yesterday that was revealing, and Dan Abrams was having an interview with Megyn Kelly talking about the aspects of this trial. Both of them lawyers, by the way. Okay, they both have extensive legal backgrounds and know what's going on. And Dan Abrams is basically admitting this was a stretch while at the same time wanting it to be the case. So he's saying to her, saying to Megyn Kelly, that, what he did was illegal. She's like, no, it's not. Having somebody sign an NDA is actually a common business practice.
I had to sign one for Disney.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. And I only worked there a very short period of time, but it was effective while I worked there.
But it's like every step of the way, Abrams tried to cover tracks, or it's like, okay, yeah, but this is regarding an election, and this is election interference and such. And no, it wasn't. Okay, but he used campaign funds to do it. No, he didn't. He used his own funds, and he paid a lawyer for services that the lawyer had performed ahead of time, and the lawyer billed him after the fact. Where's the illegality in any of this? Okay, but ethically, paying a porn star for silence isn't that bad.
Oh, paying a porn star. Okay. Flashback to when Paula Jones, who was not a porn star, got paid. Okay.
But even so.
I'm like, what?
But now this is where Abrams is going. He's like, okay, but there is an ethical issue, isn't there? It's like, but that's not illegal. I mean,
it doesn't matter. Ethics, it's not, yes, ethics does tend to inspire laws and everything, but when you craft a law, there's no law against being ethical when you're paying somebody.
Yeah, but here's the dividing line too. You could say it's unethical for him to be married and while his wife is pregnant, sleep with a porn star. Now, again, we just don't even know that definitively happened either. It's he said, she said, but nonetheless, okay. Ethically, that's probably, it's nothing about that's illegal. It was consenting adults. No illegality took place. So what are we doing here? That's the thing. This is where it gets revealing, though. Hillary Clinton got charged with the exact same charge regarding the Steele dossier because her campaign funded the Steele dossier, and she chalked that up not to a campaign expense, but lawyer fees. Exactly what Donald Trump is charged with.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton got fined $8,000.
Yep. And I still remember when James Comey came out to talk about the whole Benghazi thing and the bleach bit, the emails, the server, all that crap, and him telling us, there were a lot of illegal things done, but no prosecutor would touch this, so we're just going to let it go. Really? No prosecutor? I know at least 5 in the state of Texas that were itching to get their hands on this shit. Seriously.
But
people I
thing.
personally knew, and not just the AG, but I mean, people that I actually knew in real life that they said, this is a case. This would be a great case. No. So they could just, eat the corn in my shit for all I care.
But
I'm
whoa, what?
Images. You paint such pretty pictures.
Anyway, I would type this in chat, but my computer's starting to be cranky, so I'm having to shut everything down to make sure I don't lose you guys. Can we go after the congressional slush fund for the very same thing and start arresting the people that have used that now? That's my question.
I would like to, because that's our tax money, not theirs.
Yeah, and I threw that in Dick Durbin's fat face the other day too when he was barking about Alito, and he's like, "He should step down, and if he doesn't step down, we're gonna step in ourselves and make sure stuff happens." Like, hey, Dick, can you maybe take care of stuff in your own building?
Durbin. Nobody has forgotten that.
If you, considering you guys have a slush fund for sexual peccadillos that are paid for with my money, then, maybe that could be taken care of first before you look at the Supreme Court. No, by the way, separation of powers. Sorry. Yeah. You're a little neutered right there, Dick.
Indeed.
But this is the reality of it all. That this entire thing was cooked up. The case was dead. Feds had already looked at this and said, we're not going to charge it. New York had brought the case up and we were like, misdemeanors, I don't think. And then it expired and they were just like, we're done. Okay, 34 felony indictments. For what? Well, he could have done something bad. Those are the felonies.
He wasn't even told what the crime was. That's literally a violation of his civil rights.
We do now know what the underlying felony was, though. He tore a tag off a mattress.
Yeah, those bastards. They will get you every time for that.
He once shot a man for snoring.
Every single mattress in this house still has the tag on it.
Oh, you are just so beaten down by the man, aren't you?
My parents just never took them off, I guess. I don't know.
I pull tags off of plush animals, pillows, you name it. They're all in the fire pit. Come and get me.
Such a violent person. Wow. Okay. Anyway, that wasn't the only thing happening this week. Fauci is now.
Oh my
the
gosh.
hearings are going on, and that has been very elucidating.
Yeah, there's
everything that the conspiracy theorists were saying, he's admitting to.
There's
because he can get away with it.
Just the last couple of days, there's been an outbreak of facts regarding the virus, and Fauci has yet to look good on any of them. The only positive thing for Fauci was when the supplicant Democrats on the committee were just like, "Well, I just want to applaud you so much, Dr. Fauci, for all you've done in saving humankind and what the planet is surviving because of you, you fantastic son of a bitch. We all love you."
Well, this is what I don't understand. They're all sucking up to Fauci, but it was Trump who had Fauci, and they were going after Trump for what Fauci did. So which is it? They can't have it both ways.
It has only been 2 days, and already Fauci has exposed that the entire masking thing is completely arbitrary and garbage, that they never did any testing at all regarding masking in children.
No. The 6
despite
feet
mandating that onto them.
The 6 feet thing was completely made up.
Separation, it was
But
just like,
here's the thing.
Sounds good.
Fauci had actually said that masking was ineffective well before COVID-19 came around. And that came back, somebody found what he had said about masking several years ago and brought it back. And he said that, things change and the masks are better and the science is, it's done. And now he is saying that there had not been any testing done. And I'm like, so you lied then too. And
they're finding emails now where they were trying to hide payments for specific research that went into this, and that they basically have confirmed that this came from the lab. And let's recall now, down the list, criticizing masks in 2020, that would get you suspended and fined and blocked and everything else. Making fun of the 6-foot rule, making fun of masks on children in schools when children were already the least affected class of people regarding this. The vaccines, calling them into question. How dare you? Lee Blake, origin of the virus? Well, that's just a conspiracy that's not rooted in anything fact. All of this stuff has now been proven accurate. All of the stuff that got you in trouble 4 years ago.
Conspiracy theories are now 50-0. I'm pretty sure that's where it stands right now. So I'm pretty sure that they'll probably be at 60-0 by the end of the week.
I mean, you couldn't even ask questions about this stuff. It's like, well, where's your research? Well, how dare you? Why can't we look at the
science? The science is settled.
Are you a technician? Are you a doctor? Are you medically trained? It's like, well, no, but they wrote it so I could read it. It's English, right? Let's see it. Suspended.
Yeah, there were a lot of, my husband has training in virology, and he was just flabbergasted at what the government was doing. He says this goes contrary to everything we were taught in medical school. Everything. This goes contrary to shit that they were teaching in the 1700s. I mean, it was just like, it was insane. they were fostering, in my view, a dark age. They were trying to see if they could non-organically foster a dark age and see how well they could get away with certain things. This was a dry run. I kept telling people this is all a dry run. The government is testing its limits. And a lot of people failed. A lot of people failed.
Well, this is where I feel so vindicated, because back then, I mean, I was, call it flippant, if you will, but I just said that when it came to the pandemic, I just chose not to participate. I wasn't, playing the game. I mean, I had to wear a mask to go into the grocery store and buy food, but
I almost passed out wearing one.
I would only do it when, like I would walk in the door without one, or I would, and I would take it off, and someone would be like, sir, excuse me. I was like, really?
No, my favorite part is having all of those partitions and wearing the mask and everything, but the cashier was touching all of the food that somebody else had touched, put out, that I touched, put in my cart, and they were touching it too. So I'm like, what's the point? There's absolutely no point. Unless you're wearing a head to toe gloves and shoe booties, like if you're in basically a crime scene or in a clean room, this is not going to work.
Well, how about now that Chris Cuomo is coming out and talking about ivermectin as an effective treatment?
Oh, dude, he got roasted so hard on a podcast. It was hilarious.
People are just like, excuse me, jackass. You were the one lighting people up. And by the way, your network was calling it a horse paste.
Yep.
Veterinary medicine. And
please don't take dewormer. Well, guess what? I wasn't. I was actually taking human ivermectin.
All I would do is provide them with a link to the Nobel Peace Prize for Medicine when they won it for prescribing ivermectin to people. It's like, this exists. Okay.
I had my brother calling me, asking me, please tell me you're not taking horse paste. And I'm like, why would I? I'm taking ivermectin. Well, that is horse paste. And I'm like, please, don't be ignorant. I cannot deal with this right now.
If only you had access to a doctor who could set you straight.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what I said. I said, gee, if only there was somebody who had studied medicine in our family who could possibly tell me about certain drugs that I could possibly take. I wonder if such a person exists. And he kind of laughed it off, but he was completely serious. He felt that this was a horse, deworming medicine that people were taking. And he honestly believes that Trump told us to drink bleach. He honestly believes all this stuff. And I'm like, to this day, he really does think that Palin said, you can see Russia from my house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's not the one who said that. That was Tina Fey making fun of her on SNL. What she said was, you could see Russia from parts of Alaska, which is absolutely true. You can.
I think it was Biden, was it in the Time magazine article or another one, where he brought up Trump was telling people to inject Clorox.
Yes, he said that. And that is not what he said. That's not what Trump said.
You could read the transcript. Inject, never spoken. Clorox, never invoked either.
Nope. But hey, that lie still lives on because that's all they got.
And if I correct people, you're just a MAGA to vote. It's like, I'm sorry. I thought we were supposed to listen to medicine and facts. Now you don't like that. So, interesting.
The amount of doctors that were ostracized, fired, it was just incredible.
There was a time, I recall it. I think it was, I want to say it was late in 2020 at some point. There was a doctor who was on CNN and he was saying a number of things that were, novel, new things, I guess you could say, were either revealed or now were accepted or something. And there was another doctor that came on and said, my account was blocked for 6 months for saying the exact same thing that this guy just said on CNN.
Yeah, Robert, what's his name? Whose name escapes me, but the inventor of the mRNA vaccine, who said, this is not going to work. This vaccine doesn't work this way. Yeah. So he got blocked. I'm like, holy shit, you're blocking the guy that invented the thing that they're going to use. And when he's telling you it's not going to work that way.
I think he's got the inside lane there as far as info on this particular issue.
So,
what was really telling is after that, CNN pulled that segment with that doctor. Like you couldn't access it online.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
They just completely swept aside. Like what the guy said on air was accurate. And then the other doctor was like, well, pump the brakes. Excuse me. Months ago, this was forbidden. Nobody was allowed to say this stuff. And CNN erased the accurate information.
And this is why I firmly believe this was definitely a dry run. This was a concerted effort to see how far the government could get away with controlling an entire populace. And it was those that just resisted, that said, no, we're not going to do this. They became the minority. They were supposed to be the majority. That's how the Bill of Rights works. We were supposed to be the majority, the ones that stood up for, truth and knowledge and actual scientific observation and all this stuff. They became, a lot of us became part of, we're in agreement with the man, we're supposed to fight the man.
Well, I just said this about Rolling Stone the other day when the indictment came down. They just posted on Twitter, and all it said was the word guilty repeated 34 times. And I was like, I remember when you guys were all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll when you applauded somebody for sleeping with a porn star. And now you're defending an 82-year-old statist.
Yeah. You remember when...
Way to be rebels, guys.
I think it was... I want to say it was Ice-T. He came out with the song Cop Killer. Right. He was featured on the front, cover of Rolling Stone wearing a cop's uniform. Mm-hmm. And people were pissed off about that. But I mean, that was the kind of in-your-face type of stuff that they did. And it was mostly about music. It was, the Kanye West, as crucified Jesus thing. That was an in your face, but they always stuck to music. And now I can't find anything remotely connected to music in that magazine at all.
This is just where they're going. And what cracked me up about the pandemic too was all the people that were telling us, well, listen to the doctors. Like, well, I got a doctor saying this. Well, he's not right, says the journalist.
Yeah. And I had my own fights in, my family, and I had to remind people. I said, you realize I am married to a doctor, and I did work in a hospital, and, and we have several nurses in our family. We have several people who are in the medical field. I have several, med techs and, lab techs and everything. But unfortunately, they're mostly in Puerto Rico, and they bought into it. And even when pressed, I love my cousin. She's a med tech. And we were in a discussion about this a couple of years ago. And even when I pressed her and I said, this is not what you learned in school, is it? And she says, well, things have changed since I left school. I said, yes. And you've kept up with it because that's the nature of the job. You cannot tell me that this has changed this much, one day to the next. And she's like, well, now you're just getting political. And I'm going, no, I'm trying to tell you that it is political. This isn't about medicine anymore. This is about politics.
Well, no, the difference is this, though. The facts change. That's a given. And the more you learn. But what's going on with the pandemic was the process changed. It wasn't new information came in, and now it was new protocols, new mandates, new narratives. That's what changed. It wasn't facts.
There were no facts. None. And now you have
asked
Fauci.
For the facts, you were a problem.
And now you have Fauci admitting to everything that he was fighting Rand Paul about in the previous hearings, if you recall. And, basically calling Rand Paul a liar. And he's actually admitting that Rand Paul was right.
Well, we just had the last hearings, a few weeks ago with that partnering medical wing. Yeah. And they've been completely defunded and debunked and dead in the water as a result. Here's the thing. We were reporting on that at Red State.
Yep.
And we were constantly demonetized, flagged. You have to take this down, that kind of crap, for being accurate. And it wasn't, Scott Hounsel reported on most of this. It wasn't him flying off the handle. It was him citing studies, links, doctors, things of that nature, and showing the receipts in his pieces and showing how this agency was completely screwed up, completely demonized and knocked down for it, and completely 100% vindicated to the point now that people are stealing that material and printing it up today without attributing. It's like, we've had this for 3 years. Punished then, and other people are being celebrated for it today. It's ridiculous. But I'm really as cynical as it comes to this kind of crap, because the Republicans are really adept at finding this stuff out in hearings, because look at all the crap they've unearthed on Biden and his son. I've yet to see anything as far as accountability goes that impressive.
Not yet. Nope.
More and more crap comes, and they investigated the Twitter files. Look at that whole thing. That was a complete bastardization of the government and silencing citizens, and it's been exposed and proven out, and what's come of it. That's the thing. Where is the accountability in all of this? I mean, it's been great on the exposure side. How about let's address it and finish it and punish it?
You see what Fauci's doing when he is testifying, and he's basically making the other guy the scapegoat. And if I were the other guy, whose name escapes me, I would be talking to a lawyer about cutting a deal and coming clean and just spilling all the secrets.
Well, Dr. Birx is also coming out and saying, "Oh no, we definitely misled on that. We did that intentionally. We didn't know this." And the crap is coming out.
Yeah.
Which great, it's sunlight is being the disinfectant and all that. But where is the accountability? That's my question. I want to see retribution for it. We got the evidence. Where's the justice? That's me. All right. Well, I got to start wrapping things up here myself.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's time to go.
I'm sure Rick would like some bedtime.
Yes. All right, Brad, where can we find you?
I can be spotted every single day over at townhall.com. My media column there is called Rift from the Headlines, where I dive into the muck and mire of the mainstream media complex. Also over at Red State on the front page there, where I also have a twice weekly podcast extending my media coverage. It's called Liable Sources, where I do even more on that front. You can also hear me on this very network. Thursday evening, I am going to be here with Paul Young from ScreenRant.com as he and I dive into the dark side of Hollywood and bad movies with disasters in the making. I'm going to throw a teaser out. Might be Stanley Cup related. Hint, hint. Also, alternate Thursdays, I'm here with Morty Packard. He and I will guide you through all of the important entertainment information on the culture shift. And, of course, like tonight, every Tuesday here at 8.5 with yourself. And then, if you need more of me than that, and let's face it, you do, head over to Jitter. I'm at Martini Shark. And what about you, Aggie? Where can people find more of your magnificence?
Well, you can find me at Aggie Weekend and at Aggie the Barkeep. Those are over on X. You can find me, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with you. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Friday nights doing He Said, She Said with our awesome producer, Rick. Once a month, the crew gets together for Toxic Masculinity at 8 p.m. Eastern on the last Wednesday of every month. And that is when G, Ordy, Rick, and Andrew get together to discuss manly topics. We host the Babe of the Month, and I bring the drink of the evening. And Jeff and I have teamed together. We now have a book podcast called Spirited Books. That's also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. This month, it'll be next Monday. But after June, it'll be on the first Monday of every month, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or as the guys like to say, Aggie time. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and we hope you have a lovely evening.
and go raise a glass and look at the ceiling.
Don't mind the dust bunnies.